Hooray! We are back with video number 2 of the year. It is draft day recap. Apparently, our draft day recap last year was pretty spot on, according to Lamin, who's the only one that remembers what we said in it, because we said he did well, and he agrees with that statement. So we are back again. We are unscripted and unprepared, but we're just gonna talk and we're gonna say some words, and they're probably gonna be wrong. So everyone sit back, relax, and enjoy. So Jake, why don't you get us started with first pick, first drafter. Let's go through Danny's draft. Go through. Tell me how you feel.
First pick, first drafter, Mr. Danny. Picked Genty with the 101. That was what everyone knew he was going to do. Chris likes hot takes, like a Marion should go 101, but he's wrong. So good job, Danny. I think he nailed it this time. And moving on to the next pick. Danny also got RJ Harvey in the first round, so he had Mr. Jones's pick, which was the 107. And he likes RJ Harvey. Um, Interesting guy, kind of old, but it is what it is. Um, Apparent people love Sean Payton running backs. Sean Payton does not like Javonte Williams. We found that out last year, so hopefully he likes RJ Harvey more than that.
And I'll jump in to touch on the first round picks, I guess, before we move on, because that's the bread and butter of Danny's draft here. Yeah, Genty was the pick. We all knew he was the pick. I was hoping after that first preseason game that Danny had some cold feet and was like gonna do some crazy thing, or maybe go quarterback with Cam Ward, or you know, think that there was defensive stats that came in and picked Travis Hunter so I could get Genty, but that didn't happen. Um, I, I don't know. It seems like you had some hesitation around Harvey. Harvey is not the pick I make at 7 with that board open. I don't think, but if that's who Danny wants, that's who you go get. So can't hate on it there. Running back is probably the position you go get. There feels like there's more talent sitting out there. I probably would have went Egbuka there. But I'm higher on him than it seems most other people are.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are pretty high on Ibuka. I think Harvey's a good pick. Uh, Danny doesn't really need. I think Ibuka would just kind of fall in with the rest of Danny's receivers, so I just don't think he felt he needed that. And if you're going running back, given the Judkins situation, you probably go Harvey there. I mean, I'm not a Caleb Johnson guy, so if you like Caleb Johnson, I guess you could have gone Caleb Johnson. But if you're going running back, it was probably Harvey. So I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, I may have forgot that Danny's team is just 12 of the same wide receiver. So yeah, at least team needs Harvey is certainly more important for Danny. Um, I I think maybe what we just do is take the rest of the picks kind of together in some way, shape, or form, and pick out anyone that you're exceptionally high on. I love Woody Marks. I kind of would have taken Woody Marks about 6 picks earlier than he got picked. I think he is probably the sneaky running back of this year's draft. Between him and I also have a soft spot for Gordon, but I think Woody Marks could be really, really good. So getting him in the first pick of the third round, like I would have picked him at 210 easily, but he ended up getting Williams and Marks, which I think is huge. And then Arroyo is a fun little tight end prospect in the fourth round.
Yeah, I like Marks. I think he went about in the right spot. I did try to trade for that pick at one point. I was also just picking Jaden Blue either way, but yeah, Marks was decent. We'll see if Kyle Williams turns into anything. I'm not the biggest Drake May guy, so I don't know. And it seems like it's somewhat crowded, yet not crowded there. Sometimes those situations are good though, so Kyle Williams could turn into something that could be helpful to Danny. Maybe he could package a couple receivers and tier up, or I don't know what his plan is there. I know a lot of people like Thornton a lot. Seems like there's a decent amount of buzz there, so could end up being a good pick for the 304. Isaiah Bond, I don't really think is anything. Royal,
Well,
we'll
and
see.
yeah. Isaiah Bond's a little sad, guy with a lot of kind of potential at Texas that didn't pan out NFL wise, at least now, draft capital wise. Thornton, maybe Jacoby Myers trade is a big deal. And just with Williams, that pick is probably, if I'm Danny, where I'm throwing it out there for a running back, whether that is Tootin or Marks or Blue or like whoever you like. Those two picks felt like really running back central given his team now that I'm looking back on it, where he ended up going wide receiver, and because he ended up getting two extra wide receivers after this when, who knows what he needed. But anyway, I think that covers Danny pretty well.
Yeah. I guess you should tell us what you were thinking for your picks.
My picks felt pretty straight up, at least in the first two rounds. The first round, I should say. Hampton, he was the pick at 2, in my opinion. There wasn't really any reason to go McMillan. I don't love the Carolina situation, even though I'm not really against Bryce Young. I think there's still stuff there. I think just as an organization, Carolina doesn't make much sense to me. Although they opened up a spot today, sort of with the Thielen trade. But Hampton, gotta love him going to Harborough and just that craziness. I know Najee's there, but who knows what Najee actually, if Najee ever plays football again, kind of thing. Although it looks like he just became healthy. So I mean, I think that was just the obvious pick. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. And then at 6, I felt the same way. Like I was just gonna get who was there at 6. I kind of assumed I was gonna end up with Travion, who I was not really thrilled about. That was probably the person I was really happy didn't fall to me. But I think Travis Hunter has the possibility to be a stud. I am fully all in. I think that dude is cool and special, and I was extremely happy he fell to me. I would have also been happy if Cam Ward got there, but super hyped with Travis Hunter. And then at 2, I like Higgins. I like his situation. I thought he fits well with Tank and Nico and Houston. I think he's got a good amount of potential. That's just who I figured I'd throw something in at 2.2. There wasn't another wide receiver I loved over there. I wasn't going to go. I thought about Loveland, and I tried to trade back up a few times to grab Loveland after, but I was between Higgins and Loveland in that spot and just figured tight end. I just don't need another tight end, and unless it's Travis Kelce the last 5 years. I think we talked about it the other day. Like tight end just hasn't mattered. So and Quinn Ewers I've already cut, but I think that he has the potential to be a player that actually plays some football this year, with just Tua's history and Tua being the only guy that's seemingly ahead of him with Zach Wilson being around. So I just figured he might have some potential, but he got cut anyway.
I'm not going to talk about Quinn Ewers. I think he sucks, but Amarion, probably the pick. Depending on your team, I think Tet was in contention there for sure, in my opinion. I think Tet's real good. And he's pretty much the only real thing there. I know there's some Coker people and some Leggett people still, but I think he's clearly the one there. I think he'll pretty much separate from those guys. So, but I mean, Hampton, like you said, I think there will be somewhat of a committee there, but they're going to run the ball like crazy, so it won't really matter at the end of the day. Travis Hunter, I don't know. I hope he plays all the time at receiver, but I just don't know if he will. At least the first year, or I just a lot of questions. It's probably the pick to make, but I don't know. if you want to go Ibuka there or Harvey there, I wouldn't have thought it was crazy, but I think Hunter's probably the easiest pick to make there for sure. And then Higgins, like you said, I think he kind of fell. Kind of depends on how you felt about Loveland and Burden. But he's probably the way to go, especially with Dell starting the year on IR or whatever. I have no idea when he's coming back. So you're getting the wide receiver too for CJ Stroud. So probably the pick to make there. And yeah, I think we can move on to Lamb Chop now.
Oh, you know what we probably should do is do some sort of grading for the draft that we've neglected to do. So if you don't mind clicking back on Danny, and why don't you give Danny a grade?
I guess I'd give him B plus, I guess. I think the Genty, Harvey, and Mark's picks were pretty on the spot. I think Thornton is a pretty solid, looks like a pretty solid upside play. And then same thing with Kyle Williams. I think that's kind of, I don't know. He's not my favorite player, but I get the pick. So that's the reason it's not an A, is I just don't love Kyle Williams. But and Harvey, I think you could have gone either way. So I didn't give it an A because of that, but B plus.
Yeah, I think I would still fall with an A minus with Danny, and maybe it's just because he got Genty and he got Marks, who are two of my favorite players in the draft. But I think 7 I go a different way, and I think 10 I go a different way, so that knocks him down a bit. But I think it's an A just because I think there is probably something to be said for not overthinking and making the right decision, and so I'll give him the A minus because again he just did that. I think we've seen it in not really much in this league, but in real life you see it all the time where people are just like, do we make that trade? You know, Laramie Tunsil has the video come out and it's like he's gonna drop to 18 now, and so it's just I think there's something to be said about making the pick that makes sense. I'll refrain from grading myself, and so you can just give me a grade.
Sure. I mean, like you said, you kind of just took guys that fell to you, so uh, won't penalize you for it, but not going to give you an A for it either. So I'll just give you a B.
Fair enough. On to
All
Lamb
right,
and Chop.
off to Lamb Chop. Yeah, so he picked Ted at 3. Probably they're just the same thing. He just kind of took the guy that fell to him. He's not going to take. I mean, I guess he could have taken Ward and maybe traded a quarterback or something like that if he wanted to. But Ted's probably just a little too talented and in too good of a situation to try to play that game with hoarding quarterbacks in that way. So I like the pick. I think he didn't overthink it. And yeah, and then his other first round pick was Dart. Not my favorite pick. Not a big Dart guy. Maybe that's the cynical Giant fan in me, but I just don't see it. No, he had a good preseason, but
So
it just
yeah, I think I'll start with McMillan. I think obviously Lyman made the right pick there. I think that makes a boatload of sense. Like you said, it fell to him. That's the pick there. Um, I think Ward was possibly an option. I think if you're enamored with Travis Hunter, that could possibly be an option. But yeah, I think McMillan's the pick there for sure. Um, I am a little bit of a dark guy. I like the Lane Kiffin kind of coaching before this. I like that he's not going to start right now in long terms, but I think this was just early for him. I think this is just not the pick to make. But at the same time, who is Lyman picking at 8 other than Abuka? And he just picked McMillan. So I don't know like what you do there. Otherwise, you're not picking Tyler Warren with sitting there. Judkins had his situation going on. I think if Judkins didn't, then that's an easy pick. Harvey's already gone. I don't like Caleb Johnson. Like, I don't know where you go for him other than Ibuka there, and you just added another wide receiver, so it's tough. But Dart's early, but at the same time, QB value is always strong. And I do think Dart, like, I think the Giants are just weird, and I don't know where to go from it because I think they, I'm a little biased, but they may have the best defensive line or pretty close to it. Like that defensive front 4 or 5 guys is pretty impressive, and then the rest of the team scares me. Other than neighbors, pretty much. But yeah, so I think they're just going to be interesting, and I think he could be pretty good. It felt a little early for him. And speaking of the Giants, I'll jump him down to the next into round 2. Scatabo at 2.0, 2.3. I just don't have much faith in Cam. He's an older running back. Like it feels like his top end is what's the guy's name who used to be on the Patriots, the white guy who ended up on the Texans?
Rex Burkhead.
That feels like his high end to me. I don't know why. He's just like a tiny little bowling ball guy. So that might even not be a good comp. It just like that feels like his top end. And then at 2.9, it feels like a super reach to go Shedeur right here, even though like I guess Shedeur also had a good preseason, but like he missed out on having a legit player there. But I think Sean did the pick before by going with another QB, although it looked like Show had a chance to start. We know that's not happening. So I don't like Lamon's round 2.
Yeah, I'm probably a little higher on Cam. I mean, he had a good college career, so you never know. And then that backfield's kind of wide open, so if he takes the backfield, then it's gonna look like a steal. Daboll kind of likes to use one running back mostly, and Tracy I don't think has the best injury history generally. So, that being said, Cam has also been hurt, so not a great way to start your career, but. Yeah, Shedeur seemed early. That being said, I mean, Lamb Chop has like a million backup running backs, so does he need to take Tootin? Not really. He got Betch at 302, so he could have taken Kyle Williams. Maybe that's just not his guy. Maybe you try to trade out of that pick. I don't know, but
if you want Shedeur is so hard. He was just named the number 3 QB, and I get the whole situation. I get the potential. He's listed as 3, and the guy who's ahead of him on the depth chart went 5.6, 5.7? Yeah, 5.8. So it's just like Dillon Gabriel apparently has this backup position over Shedeur. So it just, on the surface, it feels like maybe Gabriel fell and maybe Shedeur went too high. But just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, just I'm not gonna get into too much. That whole thing seems nonsense to me. I don't know. Dillon Gabriel does not feel like a person that's gonna end up playing in the NFL. Not saying Shedeur will have a career or anything, but I'd say he has a better shot for sure.
Certainly has the highest upside of their QB room. But yeah, I think I'll probably give Lamon like. Sorry, bud. I know we rated you high last year. This is like.
I think we should talk about Dylan Sampson. Okay. I think that was a really good pick. So with the Judkins situation and Jerome Ford is wildly not crazy talented, Dylan Sampson could be in for like a decent amount of work. So that was really nice to pick up at 310, I think.
But is it a bad pick with Krosky sitting behind him?
Yes. Also because the news had already come out at that point. But I do still like Dylan Sampson.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to my grade, and I'm going to give Lamon a C-.
A C-.
Yeah, I really dislike the second round, and I think Dart was just too early. And I don't think Dylan Sampson is a saving grace of the rest of the picks.
I'd probably give him a C, I guess. I like Ted. It's a good point you bring up with Krosky Merritt, because I do remember, like, I did try to, like, get on my phone and try to get back into the third round for Merritt. But I didn't get there too fast enough, and Lamb already made his pick. So he definitely should. I mean, I think he should have gone Merritt. I think that was kind of the obvious pick at that point. But and then Dart, I obviously didn't love, so can't really go above a C. But I don't think he did anything like catastrophically wrong, so I don't want to go below a C.
Sure.
Um,
Trent.
yeah, moving on. Trent had a ton of picks in the first round, so I guess we'll go through all of them at once. It was Travion at 104, Ibuka 109, Warren at the 110, and Judkins at the 111. You are probably one of the lowest people on Henderson I've heard of. People are real high on him, so interested to hear your take on that a little bit later. If I'm Trent, I'd probably go Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to be real good. So obviously he doesn't. So if you're not doing that, then I guess Henderson makes sense. I know you're super high on Hunter, but I don't think he was, and I wasn't super high on him. So I guess Henderson's the pick at that point if you're not going Ward or Hunter. So we'll see how that ends up turning out.
Yeah, and so Travion Henderson's a guy who had an extreme workload at Ole Miss, left Ole Miss to go to Ohio State because he had such a high workload in college, ended up at Ohio State with Judkins, and still had a ridiculously high workload. Dude's got a lot of miles already. I think there's some bias because it's a Patriots running back who, like, since Corey Dillon, we haven't had a really good one.
Henderson was at Ohio State his whole career, wasn't it? Pretty sure.
Is Judkins the one that moved? Am I getting them backwards?
Yeah, Judkins moved this year. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Okay, my bad. So I dislike both of them, and I had them reversed. I dislike Henderson because my dude got his job stolen by Judkins.
There you go.
Okay, had him backwards. It's late. That's my bad. See, it's dark. My bad. You're right. So he got all Big Ten players in the first round, which is kind of fun. 3 Ohio State guys and 1 Penn State guy. I don't understand the Henderson pick there. He's a Patriots running back, which again, it's a new regime. I get that, but like, I guess there's still some bias there. I don't think he's exceptionally fantastic. Having watched a bunch of him, like when you watch them last year, I thought Ibuka stood out. Obviously, wide receiver, running back, very different. But like you watch that offense, Ibuka was the guy who kind of I thought stood out. And what do I know about football? Very little. So very grain of salt with everything. I thought Ibuka is clearly the pick at 9. I thought Warren was clearly the pick at 10. And honestly, I thought Judkins was clearly the pick at 11. I think that's what you do at those points. Easy if you're Trent. So I have no qualms about any of that. If I'm him, Cam Ward sitting there at 4, I think is a no-brainer. Number 1 pick, super draft capital. Like, this is a guy that the Titans are going to give time to. They're not going to throw him away. Even Bryce Young, who got benched for a little while, like, he is the clear starter in Carolina. And also Cam Ward just seems like a cool dude so far. So I thought there was a much better pick at 4 than Travion.
Yeah, like I said, I also think Cam Ward was kind of the pick there. But if you don't believe in Cam Ward, then you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, Buka, like you said, all the other guys were somewhat obvious. Well, Judkins, I think you can make different decisions, but anyway, depends on your team. Yeah, moving on to the second round.
I'm just so low on Caleb Johnson that like Judkins is the pick unless you're going wide receiver, and he already went at Buka, so like go Judkins.
Yeah, I mean I was thinking receiver, but yeah. get it. I get it. I also thought about moving up for Judkins at that point, and that did not work out. So anyway, moving on to the next pick. He had in the second round he picked up Burden and Tootin, and then the third round he also got Frosky Merritt. I think these are all really solid picks. Tootin seems to be gaining some traction in Jacksonville. Not really sure. That job's somewhat up in the air, seems like. Don't know which of the three it'll end up with. So nice to take a shot at the end of the second. That seems nice. Burden, apparently the Bears love him a lot. So that is nice. And there's a new regime over there. So could work out well for him. Krosky Merritt, probably steal of the draft. News came in as he was basically making that pick. It was a no-brainer once it happened. So, yeah, did a really good job cleaning up at the end. Yeah, I think he did a really good job overall. Give him a B just because I think the Ward pick makes the most sense to me, and Judkins, just that whole situation, the way it's worked out since seems real weird. So, uh, yeah, sticking with a B.
Yeah, and it's hard because like Burden's not my favorite. It's a guy he's a guy that had so much hype coming into last season at Mizzou and just kind of like fell off a little bit. Like he was supposed to be the number one receiver. Like he was kind of supposed to be McMillan. And maybe not draft wise, but just talent wise and catches and yards and this, that, and the other thing. But that's the pick there. Like I that's over Milrow, that's over the quarterbacks, that's over Williams, that's over Ayumanor. Like that's who you get. And that's how I kind of felt about all his picks. Like he got who he was supposed to get, and then obviously Krosky looks like he might be the steal of the draft. Yeah, I struggle here because I think every pick is exactly what he should have done, other than his first pick. So I'll go A minus again, just because I love the rest of his draft. I just would have made a different decision at the top spot, but maybe Mitch coerced him into letting him get Ward. So, and with that, click on Mitch's name so I can see who the heck else Mitch got. So yeah, Mitchell, I think Ward, first round pick. This is like easy who you go with at that point in time. I guess there's an argument for Hunter for most people, and maybe I'm one of those people. You're not going to have that argument, I'm sure. But yeah, I think that's like I said, Ward shouldn't have been there, and then Mitch should have been deciding between Hunter and Henderson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think Ward was an obvious pick, obviously. So not a ton to talk to. We've talked about Ward a decent amount already, so I'll just move on to the second round. He picked up Milrow, Ayomanor, and Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor I liked a lot going into the draft, actually, so I do like that pick. Milrow feels like a bet against Sam Darnold. Probably not a terrible bet. I just don't know if it ends up working out. Seems super raw, so I know there are people that like him a lot. Obviously, he has a lot of rushing upside, so if he gets the job at some point, then that's going to be real nice for him. And then Iomanor, I just didn't know what to think about him. I'm glad I didn't have to make that decision. So I'll kind of let you talk about them now.
Yeah, Milrow's tough because he's not a guy I had extreme confidence in, but in my own opinion, he's head and shoulders better than the two QBs that got picked right after him. So,
Yeah.
like, if this is the QB run, like, that's the QB you take. And he's wildly, I pick him over them, even though Shaw probably has whatever his name is, probably had the best situation just because the Saints are so bad for this particular year. Even though Spencer Rattler got the job. I hate picking a QB and tight and wide receiver on the same team. I just think it limits you. I don't like it. I know everyone else loves it. I don't know. I'm bad at fantasy, so that's why I dislike it. But again, like I probably actually would have went Tootin here, or actually Marks is but I'm higher on Marks than everybody else. So I probably go wide receiver there if I'm Mitch, and I certainly go Marks instead of Taylor at 12. But like, I don't hate any of these picks. They're just not like, they don't blow me out of the water. I do really like the Horton pick in the third round in Seattle. I think he kind of comes into a really good situation. If Cooper Cup does a Cooper Cup thing and plays 7 games, then like he could see real playing time. And then I'll just hit on the fourth round. Getting Flacco is a huge deal because that's a starting quarterback for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not much to add. Horton was a good pick. Flacco, assuming he keeps the job, he probably ends up trading him for, I don't know, a second round pick or something, which will pay him back for his fourth round pick pretty easily. So
Exactly.
Yeah. And then Tosh Brooks, just an upside chance in case Chase Brown turns into a nothing ball. But yeah, overall, I think I'd give Mitch a C plus.
Okay.
Love the Ward pick. I just didn't love. I'll give him a B minus. Yeah, B minus. Just because I like the Flacco, I like Taylor. Milrow is probably the pick there, so give him a B minus.
Yeah, it's tough because, like I said, I think we both love the Ward pick. I'm kind of where you are, in just that a lot of the other picks just seem to kind of be there. And like, I'm okay with him. Don't love him. Don't hate him. I think he gets a solid B. I think Flacco gives him a little bit higher grade because, like you said, that probably is a trade for a second, third round pick this year at some point in time. For some contender that needs a QB. Mitch is obviously in tank mode at this point. Um, so yeah, I think definitely a solid B. And with that, we skip the next 5 picks and go to Sean.
Yep.
Sean with 4 picks in this draft. I think there's 3 kind of interesting ones. Caleb Johnson, not the pick I make here, but also like running back. Like, if you wanted a running back, that's who you have to kind of pick at that point in time in my head. Like, I don't think there's anybody else you can like viably pick when Sean made that pick at 12. I don't like the Shaw pick I mentioned. Again, I go running back there, which I think probably equals out. And then a fun one, he got a starting tight end in the 4th round. I don't know when that news kind of broke compared to when we were drafting, but I think that could be a heck of a steal for a guy who's still got one of the best teams, having a possibly healthy and back and caring about football Darren Waller in the 4th round.
Yeah. I don't like any of these picks. I'm not super high on any of them. Darren Waller's coming out of retirement to pay bills, it seems like. So I'm not super high on him. Caleb Johnson, I just wasn't the highest on in general. And then Chud, obviously easy to say now, but just never seemed super talented. Seemed like he may get the job just because Spencer Rattler also not super talented. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, he didn't have a lot of picks, so it's hard to be too harsh on him. But I'll give him a C minus. Just didn't like any of the picks really.
Yeah. So I'll go C plus because I think if you were going running back, he had no choice, and I get having to go running back in with Caleb. So I get like that feeling. So I'll give him a little benefit of the doubt, and I think Waller just kind of has a high upside just because of his past performance. But yeah, I mean, hard to really grade him, but I'll go C plus just because I get the 1st round pick. And Waller, at least it made me chuckle. So like you get a grade up when you make me chuckle. So I guess you're next.
Yeah, I'm next.
So walk us through.
Yeah, I mean, Golden was an easy pick for me. I had him pretty similar to Ibuka personally, so I was real happy he fell where he fell. Um, yeah, that was kind of optimal for me. It was kind of him or Judkins. I wasn't super. I thought I was going to end up with Caleb Johnson, and I was just going to be like, hopefully I'm wrong about Caleb Johnson because that's the pick I would have made. Um, so that was an easy one, and then traded back in for Loveland. Just I don't know. I have some tight ends, but I don't know if any of them are any good anymore. So felt like a move I had to make at that point. After that, traded back in for Jaden Blue. I just wanted to kind of get another piece of the Cowboys backfield in case Javante doesn't work out. Hoping he kind of takes over there. And then Brashard Smith, same thing. He's just a handcuff to Pacheco. So it's felt like an easy choice in the fifth round at that point.
I think Golden was definitely the pick there. I certainly was hoping you did not go Golden there, so I could snag him at 2. It seems like everything out of the Packers camp has been huge. My one friend I have 2 friends that are Packers fans, weirdly enough, but one of my friends is super high on Golden and sends me texts about all the great things that are happening at Packers camp that I know nothing about. I thought Loveland was a great pick. I offered Danny a trade there as well. I offered Lamb a trade for the pick before to try and get Loveland. I was between him and Higgins. I don't actually love Loveland, as weird as that is, but I'm a super strong believer in draft capital, and that dude's got it. Bears new regime, like how do you not take a tight end? I'm surprised he fell as far as he did. He's just I don't think he's as big a name as Tyler Warren was this year. Tyler Warren had like Heisman thoughts while Loveland was just kind of that solid dude. But anyway, Blue, fine. Dallas backfield is weird, so like no issues there. And I guess I have to now grade you. And with what you had, I'm gonna go A. With the picks you had, you made the most of it, and I think you made the right pick pretty much on all of them at the time we made this draft, although Ollie Gordon is still one of my favorites, and I hope he becomes a really good running back.
Cool. I like it. First A.
No, yeah, that is the first day. I was like, I gave an A-, but that's not it. Are we who we at?
Skull cap.
Big
Mitch,
T. We're Big
Danny,
T.
Lamb
Big
Trump,
T.
Danny.
Big T. Yeah,
Yes,
with
we're
Ollie
Big T.
Gordon. All right.
Um,
Big T had one of my favorite drafts ever with only 3 players. And really only 2 players. As I mentioned, I mentioned Ollie Gordon like 3 times already, which is crazy as a 3rd round pick. But he also drafted Kyle Murray, who I love. Rutgers, great. Local dude, super cool. He was the whole Rutgers offense this year. I just think he's cool and I like him a lot. And anybody that wants, November 29th, Penn State's coming to Rutgers. Whole league's gonna go. Jake's paying for all of us. And then we're good. I played NCAA with Tom the other day, and he was like, "Man, did Jake ever do his YouTube for the draft? I was about to hop on, and I didn't see a link." So my bad for Jake not doing that. He wasn't feeling himself. He had a long night the night before with some Mario Kart games. Sleeping on my couch after some Mario Kart. So Kyle Monangai is that dude, and Ollie Gordon I love. So Tom, you get an A because I'm just happy with your draft.
okay. I'm gonna give Tom a C plus because he made the most out of what he had, but all he had was a 3rd, 4th, and 5th round pick. So Not sure any of them really turn into anything, so I can't give him an A like Chris, but yeah.
He made me smile twice. So he got letter grades up.
Now you got just a plain C now.
I am Mr. Positivity today. You have not graded anybody higher than I have yet.
Is that true?
Now, yes, that is true. I think that's going to change now because I have no desire to talk about any of Cam's picks. That dude gets a D, and I don't like any of
it. All right. Well, Cam picked Marvin Mims at the 3.9. A person I don't know at the 4.08. So hopefully that guy doesn't turn into something because I'm gonna look real bad at the end
Can
of
you
this
click on him?
Huh?
Can you click on him?
Yeah, I can.
The backup to Njoku. I
Harold
guess it's a
Fannin.
hand.
He
Yeah,
scored
it's
a
the dude
touchdown.
from. No, so I thought this was him, but I wanted to be sure. That's the dude from Bowling Green who had the best tight end year of anybody last year. He actually lit up Penn State. Like he's actually super talented. But like he beat Will Warren in everything, Tyler Warren in everything. Not Will Warren. That's a baseball player. Um, but yeah, but no one cared because he was at Bowling Green.
All right. Sounds good. So apparently you made a good pick, Cam, and I'm just stupid. But yeah. And then James, I don't think is much. I'll give Cam, I got you, buddy. I'll give you a C. Maybe Marvin Mims apparently is wide receiver 2 there. Apparently I'm wrong about Fannin, so sure, you get a C.
I'll move it up to a D plus because it is fan, and I forgot that was him.
Okay.
Forgot the name. My bad, Cam.
All right. Moving on to Biondi. He had 2 picks in the 3rd round. He went Trey Harris and Devin Neal. After that, he picked Will Howard and Jarquez Hunter. Overall, pretty solid. I'm not the highest on Neal or Harris. That being said, not much there. I don't know. I don't know Biondi's roster super well if he needed like a Sampson or a Krosky Merritt, but that's kind of seems like a better pick than Harris to me. Devin Neal, I just wasn't super high on, but there's not really anyone behind that I'm in love with, so I'm fine with it. Will Howard, he's a waste of a pick to me. That guy's never going to play in the NFL. And then Jarquez Hunter is somewhat interesting. Does he beat out Blake Corum for the second running back in LA? You never know. It could be a good 5th-round pick.
Yeah, so the problem there is that McVay only runs Kyron Williams no matter what's happening. That dude was like running on one toe, not even one leg, like one toe last year, and he was just like, you get the ball 40 times a game. So it just doesn't matter who his backup is. But yeah, I like Trey Harris. I thought I was trying to trade up to actually snag one of the Horton and Harris around that time. Because I thought they just kind of fell too far, but no one wanted my trades because they're probably bad. Will Howard, is Mason Rudolph still in Pittsburgh, or am I wrong about that? Okay, so so Will Howard is gonna be a second string quarterback by like 3 minutes into week 1. And then maybe Mason Rudolph says the wrong things to Myles Garrett again, and now he's QB1. Like it's not the farthest possibility here. Rodgers just needs to go away. I'm very tired of this man. He's like taking Favre stuff to a brand new level. But yeah, because I don't know who Skylar Thompson is. That name rings a bell. But yeah, I mean at that point, who?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll give Biondi a C plus.
I'll give Biondi. I gotta give Biondi a C minus. Don't love it. I think the Harris pick could have been better. Didn't love any of the other ones. So yeah. All right, moving on.
You just have
Actually,
Tate.
just Taint.
No, Trevor. No, we have
He's
Trevor
got
again. We have Trevor too.
Trevor have a pick.
Yeah.
Did. All right, so we have Trevor actually. Trevor went Jalen Knoll in the 308. That's an interesting pick to me. I kind of like it. I think he was pretty productive and decent at Iowa State. So, yeah, pretty good. Jalen Royals, I guess you're just taking a shot at a Kansas City receiver. Feels like they have a decent amount of those at this point. So, not sure if that one's going to work out. And then I think everyone heard how I felt about Dylan Gabriel. So, I won't reiterate myself on that.
No. Well, I'm going to give Trevor an F, and this has nothing to do with football, because this dude refuses to believe that Anthony Volpe is bad at baseball, even though he is the worst hitter in baseball, second worst, I guess, over the last 1,500 plate appearances, and has a -7 outs above average on defense, and he can't run, and he went 0 for 5 again today, and his batting average is about under 200. I just needed to get that out there. So for all of you that care. But yeah, Trevor's draft is fine, but Volpe's really bad at baseball, so Trevor gets an F. Dude, it's so bad. It bothers me so much. Look at it. It's so bad.
To be honest, this looks like a pretty good year for Volpe. Much better than last year. He was like
God, it's
all
the same
over
OPS.
here last year. He was like
Dude,
all
it's
over
the same
here.
OPS.
No, the OPS is the same, but like the expected stats are better.
Oh, good. Yeah. All blue. All blue, except he doesn't chase,
Hey,
which is
he doesn't chase and he barrels the ball. He just doesn't hit it hard enough for it to go over the fence.
no, that's not true. He's got like 20 home runs.
Yeah. Okay, so he doesn't hit it. I don't know. He doesn't hit it hard enough.
Yeah,
Although the max exit velocity is ticking up. You never know, Chris. You never know.
dude. Caballero's hitting like 360 over the last like month and a half, and we're still starting Volpe. This is why we get absolutely obliterated by good teams. So on to
Tank case.
Paint. He got Keandre Lambert Smith, who would have been really nice if he didn't leave Penn State for Auburn for no apparent reason last year. So that Penn State had no wide receivers. And then I really don't know too much about the other guys. So I'm gonna just give Taint a B plus because Taint's nice to me.
Also give Taint a B plus. Apparently Tesla's a wide receiver 2 or 3 or 3, I guess 3 in Detroit now. Lambert Smith. I don't know if he's worse than Trey Harris. So getting him a decent amount later seems good. And I think he made the most of what he could with literally starting at the 402. So
yeah.
shout out Taint for never having any picks ever. And yeah.
Well, and that brings us through the end of another draft review. Thank you guys again for what we said was a slow draft, and we were done with the first round in like 6 minutes. So, guys, next year we can take some time, maybe make more than one trade happen. And then we got to the third round and everyone just stopped picking. And it took like 2 days to end the third round. But
I made multiple trades, actually.
Yeah, I think you're the only one that got a trade done. So we appreciate it anyway. We are going to be back with like a little bit of a preview, I guess. Now that football is apparently starting in 2 weeks. But I don't know how that's going to work. But we'll discuss that off camera so you guys don't have to listen. Like, subscribe, send it to your friends, have them learn about what football is really about. And everyone enjoy Saturday's start of college football. Other than Trevor and I, who have a wedding to go to.
Yeah, thanks, guys. All right. How do I stop this thing?
Technical difficulties.